Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all are doing good. Inshallah, today's our chapter is module number 10, informative and positive message. This is part one of the lesson. Now, before jumping into directly on the learning objectives of the chapter, I wanted to actually come up with something different today. I wanted to discuss a little background on this topic that I personally feel that one should actually go about it. Now, if we come across, if we just actually think, these days we come across lots of information and from different channels that we receive information. Either it's coming from television, either it's coming from the computer, either it's coming from our phone or electronic, that is electronic media, written media, or face to face. We feel, personally, I also feel that this information that is coming to us, what's going on with this information. The observation is simple that it's giving us, let's say, I feel sad, I feel frustrated sometimes, I feel stressed, I feel depressed by just learning this information. And this actually makes me think bombardment of such information regarding policies, operations, persuasion, requests, if all of them are making me sad, is this that it will change my mind, the way I think, the way I make decisions, the way I take meanings to the things. So a lot of people actually start thinking about let's say they are stuck in negativity, and they're looking towards more of half glass as empty rather than half glass full. And this is where this topic comes in, that we have to make sure that even if there is a bad news, we give it in a good way, in a positive way. So that is one area. Just as an example over here, that a surgeon is giving a patient that a treatment I will give you has a chance, 70% success rate chance. Now, if a patient listens to that 70% success, in the mind of the patient, he will say, "Yeah, that's positive, that's optimistic, that's good. Let's do it." But at the same time, same procedure, same treatment, if it is said differently, like there is a 30% chance of failure, the patient would say, "Wow, 30%? I should, this is not putting me in doubtful situation, whether should I go with the treatment or not." It's the same scenario. However, it is said differently. When it is said differently, different approach comes there, different mindset comes there. And right now, we are in a position where we actually need to change our, let's say, shift our mindset from negativity to become positive and show that positive image. And this lesson is all about that we, in our writing skills, actually give our image a good image that shows positivity, positive vibes in our business settings also, because in the business there are lots of scenarios that we come across with it. We are talking to customers, clients, subordinates, supervisors, bosses, managers. We need to actually make sure that we are on the upside here. Our focus is on the upside rather than on the negative side. They all say that 70,000 thoughts go through our mind every day, and 80% of them are negative. So that's like huge. And to be honest, this is communications lecture, and communication is less about what you say, but more about what you hear. And through our writing, the reader is going to hear what the writer is saying. So we have to be very careful here. Now, jumping into the learning objectives of this lesson today, part one: create subject lines for informative and positive messages. Number two, apply strategies for informative and positive messages. Number three, identify situation for reader benefits used with informative and positive messages. Now, the first thing actually in the lesson is talking about what type of messages we include in information and positive. The message that is that people's or the reader says, they accept it. Message that there's a request, and again there's a positive answer to that request. There's information shared by the superiors or bosses about products or services or other options that there for new entries are there, and the announcements of policy changes that are neutral or positive, changes that are good to the reader's advantage. And we'll cover, by the way, we'll do some examples over here also. What's the primary purpose here? The primary purpose here is to give good information. Good news, actually, in a positive way, in a more optimistic way, to have the reader read, understand, and view information positively, to de-emphasize the negative elements, even if they are negative elements, but we are actually lowering the, it's a percentage on that, making them understand why we are doing this. And secondary purpose, to build a good image of the writer. That is, we are writing it, so we have to make a good image of our organization also. We want to have a good relationship between writer and the reader, or we want to reduce something bad happened in the past. We want to reduce that and make a good start again, to eliminate any future corresponding on the subject. Now, subject lines. Now, subject line is very important. Now, thing has to be clear, that coming from the last module, module 9, where we understand that in letters we don't use subject line, but in memos we use subject line. And over here, I have to emphasize that it's whenever you're using a subject line, it has to be concise, it has to be clear, and it has to be specific. Okay, sometimes we are not using them, sometimes we are using them. It's and especially in emails, we use them quite clearly, and in memos. But whenever we use it, make it clear, specific, and concise. It has to be appropriate to the message. And let's say, let me just jump into the book. How in the book, how it says about subject lines. Making subject lines specific, as I mentioned, was. Now, how we make it specific? The subject line needs to be specific enough to differentiate that messages from others on the same subject, but broad enough to cover everything in the message. It has to be different than others, whatever. Now, for example, there's an example here of two journal examples, training sessions. So if we use just two words in our subject line, that's two journal. It's not, you're not being specific what's going to happen. To make a general specific subject line more specific, identify the particular topic of this message. As an example, it's just better. Dates for 2013 training sessions. Okay, this is the old example, so that's why there's in 2013. You can use other examples, or evaluation of training sessions on conducting interviews. So now they're going to explain a little further what's going to happen. Should we schedule a short course on proposal writing? So this is another subject on the training. Now, making subject line concise, how you do that? Most subject lines are relatively short, usually no more than 10 words, often only 3 to 7 words. Now, this is the example of a wordy subject line. Survey of student preferences in regards to various PISA factors. Wow, this is big. Again, the best revision depends on the specific factors you discuss. For example, students' PISA preferences, or the feasibility of a Casano's branch on campus. So maybe that's the name of the branch. So there are basically examples over here. And lastly, so we had a subject line has to be specific, they have to be concise, and now they have to be appropriate. Or what I can say, that's more concise and clear. In general, do the same thing in your subject line that you would do in the first para. So if your first para of the this memo, whatever this memo is representing, show that in the subject line also. When you have good news for the reader, build goodwill in highlighting it in the subject line. When your information is neutral, summarize it concisely on the subject line. So for example, subject is discount on rental cars effective January 2. Now, in the first para, it says starting January 2, an employee of this company industry, you can get a 15% discount on cars you rent for business or personal use from a roadway rent a car. Yeah, it's kind of a reflection over here. Another example is update on arrangements for video conference with France. The last month we have chosen the participants and develop a tentative agenda for the video conference with France. So again, it is showing that thing. Now, coming back to the slides thing. So this was about subject line. Let's go back to the slides and then we'll continue from there. Where are my slides here? All right, subject lines. The title of the document, aids in filling and retrieving the documents, provides a framework in which to set what you're about to say. I'll skip this head, this graph. This is, I think so. You can have a look at it from the book. Now, as I said, that has to be specific, concise, and appropriate according to the organization culture. How should I organize information, informative and positive messages? Now it's about the document itself, how you actually share information in your document, giving good news and summarizing main points, give details, clarification, background, which is very important, by the way, giving reasons why what's happening. Present any negative elements as positively as possible, as I explained it earlier. Explain any reader benefits and use a goodwill ending, positive, personal, and forward-looking. Now, point 4 and 5. Point 4, we already covered that. There was a chapter. There is a chapter on reader benefits, basically talking about, again, it has a you attitude attached to it. And goodwill ending, we always want a good relationship with our reader, whether it's a client, whether it's a customer, whoever it is. We have to make sure that we end our communication nicely and politely. This is a structure with the 5 headings. You don't have to use these headings, but it's just in the mind that you have to, how you organize your information here. The main points is you start with the main points, then you give it details of those main points. If there is any negative, then you can share that negativity. It's like there's a policy coming up, which this policy you have to implement. Maybe it's a technological policy, maybe employees will have resistance to it, barrier to it, but you arrange some trainings for them so they can adopt to this technology. Then you talk about reader benefits. It's like future how they will achieve bonuses or benefits or better performance, whatever, and goodwill ending. This is an example. Let's go back to the, let me just go back to the book, and from the book we take this example. More clear. Okay. Yeah, here, this is an example. Now, as I said, this is an example where you're sharing some information, and it has all the elements of positive messages in that. Okay, there are little bit headings given here. I'll just blow this up a little bit so you can actually, we can go through it a little bit more. That's too much. Now, it starts with a yeah, you can see the letterhead of the company, then the date published. It is addressing to professor, Department of History, Duke University, and dear professor. And the message actually starts. Now, the message is your appointment as archivist for interstate fidelity insurance has been approved. So basically, it's an appointment letter. You can say that's it's a positive letter. When you were in Atlanta in December, you said that you could begin your work June 1st. We'd like you to start then if that date is still good for you. So basically, it is giving an opportunity here that the professor actually mentioned that he can start on this date, and the employer is suggesting that we are with you if you can start on that day. So it's like, yeah, it's like win-win situation. Both will be happy. The professor will be happy to read this. Now, the nitty-gritty comes in. So the board has outlined the following priorities for your work. Assume reader's primary interest is the job. So basically, you can share that whatever job that you're giving, it depends on the job description and what the person can actually do. But however, sometimes there are some things that you are asked to do which you don't like, but use it in a way that you put it there, but you back it with something else here. Okay, so I think so over here is the same example that they've given is, if you see over here, it says on the left side negative about lightning and security presented in person. So there is something that is mentioned that there is a basement, your office will be in the basement, or there's a light issue over there. So the person might not feel better, good over there. However, in the end, they are actually giving some provisions with the bill that salary is de-emphasized, or So they will actually write something that will help him to person. Your salary will be 41,000 for 6 months. Your contract will be renewed twice for a total of 18 months. So this is coming good news. Full research assistant for 19,000 for 6 months. I said the extra thing that's coming up, which is good. There's funds. We're talking about the funds over here. So the professor will like that. Indeed. Now, if you're going to the second page of this positive letter, always write that the name of the person which was written in the first, write that date and page 2, and the goodwill ending. Now, what does mean by goodwill ending? It's like, in the meantime, please send your written acceptance right away. Let me know if you need any software or supplies. Send me the name, address, social security. If you like help finding a house or apartment, we are here to help you. Or on June 1, you'll be spending the morning in personnel. Stop by my office at noon. We'll go out for a lunch. So this is goodwill ending. It's like you start creating let's say, a relationship through your email, through your letter here. So I wanted to actually go through these things. When should I use reader benefits information? This is the next topic. I think so. I'll keep it for the next part. However, let's do it a little bit when I open it here. So when you must, so there are two things here. For the reader benefit, sometimes it is essential that you mention, or sometimes it's not that essential that you mention reader benefits. If so, this is what they're saying here. You don't need reader benefits when. So there are like 4 conditions. You don't have to tell them. Or you do need reader benefit when. There are 4 of them. For example, you don't need to mention reader benefit when you're giving some factual data. There's statistical data is shared, so you don't have to give that. Then the reader attitudes towards information doesn't matter. So the behavior of the reader doesn't matter if they listen to this news. Stressing benefits may make the reader more sound selfish. So if you actually pressurize them on something, stressing benefits, in a way that you will get this, it means that they might become selfish about it. So this is not good. The benefits are so obvious that the restate them insults the reader's intelligence. And at the same time, there's few things that you're mentioning again to them, which may feel that the reader is not that intelligent, and you have to tell them again. So we have to be careful here also. So when you should use a reader benefit, you are presenting policies, you want to shape readers' attitudes. Stressing benefits present readers' motives positively. Some of the benefits may not be obvious to readers. So it's like same thing, but in a different positive way. All right, so we'll end the lecture part 1 over here, and I'll see you all in part 2 with more examples. All right, and let me just go back to our slides here, and if I have to just cover back what we did. Right, so we had, so we started with, let's say we started with communication channels here. So this is like part 1 of module number 10. Take care, have a nice day. Inshallah, I'll see you in module number, part 2 of this module.